What's up, guys? It's your girl Matt Cox from MA Couture Crafting, and on this video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, boxes. I am a paper crafter, and I've started to incorporate my love of fabrics and textiles into my card making and paper crafting, and just trying to marry the two a little bit. One of my favorite things to do was make boxes out of paper. I love, love, love making three-dimensional items out of paper. So I've started playing with that and the fabric. Now, Tula Pink dropped her line Daydreamer, and I was initially not a fan. When I saw it, it did not call my name. I was like, there are some pieces that I was like, oh, that's okay, that's okay. But I didn't get it. There were several people who were like, "No, you need to take another look at it. It's amazing. You'll certainly like this print and that print." And I was like, I don't know. But then I saw Custom Quilts, Joanna Marsh. She started working with it and doing some paper piecing. I mean, I do English paper piecing, but not the way that she does. I mean, she's really good at fussy cutting and then making the kaleidoscope effects and that kind of thing. She started using Daydreamer with one of her new patterns, Spellbound, and it was amazing. It was so amazing that even though I don't EPP, English paper piece, I was like, I want to work with the fabric. Let me see what I can do. So I started playing with it and then I couldn't stop. So do not be surprised if you see a ton of Tula Pink Daydreamer because the more I touched it, the more I stared at it, the deeper I dove into it. I had such an appreciation for it. So one of the boxes, these boxes are actually bigger than you probably would think. This is a tumbler box. I've actually done a tutorial on this box. You can fit like the regular size tumblers in there. And then we've got the flamingo bow on the top. You guys know I'm a bow girl. And I decided to change these boxes a little bit. Like the ones that I had before had that just black paper inside, but these actually have like a glitter finish to them, which I really like. It's very, very finished. I like it. It's just a better look for the inside. The case box that I did just was lined with black paper. Now, I used one of those Michael's paper pads, not designer paper, but the actual cardstock, which is sturdy, but it's not as sturdy as I would like. You really want to shoot for 80 pound to 100 pound, really 100, 110 pound. I use my Cricut to cut this stuff out, and you'll see the technique. It's simple. You iron your fabric to the paper. If you're using decorative paper, you're going to iron it to the back side. You're going to cut that sucker out and just put it together as you usually would. Oh, this little guy. This is what really made me fall in love. It's this little shrimp. Where are you? You guys see that little shrimp right there? My girlfriend was like, "Look at the shrimp. Look at the shrimp." And I was like, what a shrimp. This is not showing the best color, but I tell you, the rainbow that happens in these leaves is stunning. I mean, once you get up on it and really start playing with it, it's just gorgeous. And then these little rainbows, I mean, it's just such a cool print. It's just cool. And then she's got some coordinating reprints right here. They look a little different than the first time they came out. Another one of my friends pointed that out, but such a cool such a cool line. And here's the inside of this box. These are really actually pretty good size boxes. Great for gift giving. These are not the kind of boxes that I would give to just anybody, but if you have like a quilter friend or somebody who could really appreciate beautiful fabric and a ton of like, somebody who put in some time, this is it. My thing, did I hit something? I must have hit something, which is fine, not a big deal. There we go. Love this sky. And these are all patterns by a company called S as in Sam, V as in Victor, G Cuts. Love them. Love this box pattern. Here's probably another one of my favorites. Look at how big this box is. We've got the repeat here. We've got the ombre there. We've got the green butterflies. Again, the color looks funky here, but when you see this in person, the colors on these rainbows, oh my goodness, on these rainbow butterflies. And this is definitely an edgier butterfly. If you, you can see, you know how monarch butterflies have an eye look to them, which is supposed to be one of their defense mechanisms. She really went for a more realistic eye, which is just Tula being Tula, which is one of the reasons why I love her. And then on the back, you can see that I used the ombre fabric. Love the shape of this. Look at it. It's wider at the top and comes down, and it's huge. Look at the size of it compared to my head. Like, I really don't feel like you get a good idea in the pictures of how big these boxes are, but they're really big. And then the last box that I made, and I probably will be done with making boxes for a bit, but the very last one that I made is special. This one is very big. And there is something very cool inside this box here. And if you want to know more about what's happening with this box, and I put a really cool bow on it. I'm going to take the bow off because my friend Laureen, I don't think she likes bows. I think she has a bow problem. So if I were to give her something, I guess I wouldn't put the bow on there. This is what it looks like. Oh, I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. So if you want to see what's up and what's inside this box, you're going to have to check the next video. But until then, and you just want to see how these boxes come together, I do a pretty good demonstration on them coming together and what I used and how I go through the Cricut and make it, make it make sense. If you're interested, please keep watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, let's go to our Cricut design space, and we are going to go to open up a new project, which is the green button up there at the top. And we're going to click new project. And then we're going to go on over to upload. And we're going to upload an image. Then we're going to browse for it. And this is in our big boxes by SVG Cuts. And it's the big boutique boxes. You're going to open up that. You're going to go to the SVG files. Then you're going to go with the octagon box and you're going to go to the extras. Then you're going to get the solid score lines and you are going to pull in the entire, it's called the entire octagon. Then you'll see it in your uploads and you will click on it. And you're going to add it to your canvas. Make sure you get the entire thing and the one with the solid score lines if you have the Maker 3. If you have the Cricut Explore Air, then you definitely do not want to do I don't know if this will work. I think this is best on the Maker just because the way that we score I take that back. No, 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 I don't. Actually, you got to stay with it. I'm thinking about the way that the score lines score. But you need to attach and change all of the score lines to score. You see that they say basic cut right now. Every single one needs to be scored. I prep mine by putting the paper side down, and so it needs to be a straight score line used with the scoring wheel in order to do this project. If you were cutting it with the paper side up, you could do it with the Explore Air because it's going to do those dashed score lines. That will probably make sense if you use your Cricut. You'll know what I'm talking about. But if you have an Explorer Air, you can do this, but when you put your thing on the mat, you need to reverse the cut, mirror the cut, I mean, and be sure to have the paper side facing up so they can do those dash score lines. But again, I'm going through every single piece and changing the basic cut to the score, selecting the entire item, and then attaching those score lines to that particular piece. And it only has a few pieces, so it's not taking me a long time to do this, even though this is sped up. What's that, like 1 minute to do it? It's not that much work. And you want to be sure that the lines look like they do. It looks like they're not going to be a complete, like straight score line, but they do score straight. It's just an indication that this is a score line, not a cut line. And the big octagons, you don't have to worry about those because they don't have any score lines on them. And so you want to be sure that all of your things say attached now. Make sure that none of them say what piece it is. And that's how you do your, that's how you prep it in Cricut. And then you go on ahead, and I'm using the mat, of course. And then you hit done. And just be sure that everything looks good. You don't have any score lines that are not attached. And this is a good chance right here to see how big of a paper you need. So here I need a piece of fabric that's at least 10 by 11 and a half. So I probably did like a 12 by 11 um, paper and fabric backing. And then make sure you move it around on your mat. Make sure you're rotating your mat while you're doing this. You're not cutting in the exact same place. And you can move this around if you want to fussy cut something, and I do want to fussy cut. So I am centering this. And then when I put the fabric down, I'll put my center on that 6 mark line. And that way I'll get a fussy cut butterfly, which was what my goal was to have the butterflies going around the band. In hindsight, I kind of wish I had dropped them a little bit because then you'd be able to see it with the big butterfly bow, but no biggie. And that's how I prepped for my Cricut portion of making these boxes. So here I'm using Wonder Under, and like we just saw, I know whether to cut it at 12 inches, 11 inches, 5 by 5. I know what I need. I did the Cricut part first. I prepped it and got it ready to go so that all I had to do was just add the paper to it. And now I'm looking at my design and trying to figure out where the images are that I want to cut and what I want to highlight. Same thing with these ombres, not the butterflies. The butterflies are a toss print, which means it really doesn't matter. These these rainbows mattered to me. I didn't want any rainbows going upside down, sideways, or anything like that. So I'm going to be particular in the way that I handle those. And I even fussy cut out the center rainbow piece for one of the bows on my on one of my boxes, which was kind of cool. It's kind of cool what you can do with the Cricut. Look at this ombre. Um, it's kind of interesting because the when you lay the fabric out completely, the birds turn a different direction. So right now you can tell that the birds, they, there actually has a top and a bottom. I thought that it didn't. I just thought that it was clouds, and no, this is actually directional. So I had to pay attention to which piece I was putting where because these birds will be upside down if you do it wrong. I really enjoy this ombre fabric. Although, are we really surprised? Because I am an ombre girl, but I didn't know I would like it as much as I do. And depending upon where you cut it, you get a totally different look. Totally different. For the green butterfly box, I used the deeper side. For the penguins, I think I used, for the flamingos, no penguins. Flamingos, did I use the, no, for the flamingo box, with the flamingo bow, I use the top portion, so it's super light. Very different colorways. Look at the little shrimpy guy there. And right here, you just iron the Wonder Under to the back side of the fabric. Get that all pressed nice and flat. And then you just rip the paper off the back and iron this fabric to the paper. First, we have to pick the paper that we want. I used this because it was pretty, but it wasn't as sturdy as I really like my boxes to be. I prefer my boxes to be 80 pounds and up, and I think that's a 65-pound paper. It works. It's just, and you really don't want to be using 2 layers of paper because when you start to fold it, it starts to buckle in weird places and it's weird. So you probably want to use like the Joann's and Michael's open stock paper because you can get some really thick papers in that section. So I took the paper backing off of the fabric and now I'm ironing it. Yes, it will curl a bit because this is not super sturdy paper. However, if you flip it over and iron it, you can get the curls out of it. You don't have to worry about it buckling or anything. Or you could just put it under something heavy and it will flatten back out. And because of that glitter, I just didn't want my iron to melt it. So I put that Teflon sheet over it and ironed it flat. And then you just start assembling your box. Paper to paper, I use art glitter glue. when you are doing the fabric to fabric and the fabric to paper, I find that that Beacon acetone base glue works better. People love that glue. And I know why, because it really doesn't buckle your paper because it's made from that acetone, not water-based. I'm just scoring the back of the paper so that I can get a good rip. There we go, nice and easy. And this paper is more than 12 by 12 inches. It's a little bit longer. It's like 12 by 13 because they punched a hole in the top of it. So even though this is a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, it does not go, I mean, a 12 by 12 sheet of fabric, it doesn't go all the way up to the top, see? Just because that's where they punched the hole. And then you put it in there and let it cut it out, and you get these nice clean shapes. I didn't have a bunch of flyaways with the fabric. It worked pretty well. I'm using my bone folder or the point turners, as you call them, just to give the paper and the fabric a really nice crease. And right here, I think I had to switch to the Beacon glue. This glitter on glitter with this art glitter glue, surprisingly, was not loving it. And that's okay. Yeah, there's the other bottle of glue right there. And I'm just prepping all of my pieces. And I'm jumping around from box to box, as you can see. Look at those pretty glitter ombres. Oh, aren't they beautiful? And I went ahead and cut a larger sheet for the inside. I know that they do their linings a little bit smaller, but if you use a lining that is the same size as the bottom of the box, your box will be a sturdier build. They do make a smaller one for the lining pieces, but this is better. And that's how that box came out. And that one, let's do the octagon, the big guy. I am fussy cutting that that flower there, and I'm just using a 12 by 12 ruler in order to fussy cut it. I just put it dead center, and I'm not worried about it because I know that that's 12 by 12, and so it'll sit on that 6-inch line with my 12 by 12 mat. And the octagon was centered, so it'll be fine. And then we cut out, this was actually a really nice box to work with because there's not a lot of different pieces. It's the top and it's the bottom. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. No, you know, super crazy sides and a bunch of pieces. This actually goes together really nicely and it's so big and it's so funky and I love it. I also like this fabric. The more I look at it, the more I like it. I'm really glad that I have a bunch of little pieces left. I probably won't be giving those away as I tend to do. I'm going to keep the scraps for this and do something with them. Be sure that you are paying attention to the direction of this fabric. Because you're using so many pieces to go around the sides, you really want them to be in the same orientation. It's just a good measure. So I have ironed the Wonder Under to the back side of that. And now we're just cutting the tops and the liner pieces. Do not, because I put the liner on the inside, I cut 2 pieces. Be careful because I wanted it to be decorative and I failed because I put a liner in there also. And so you couldn't see this. I wanted it to look like you were diving into the box. And I wanted there to be water at the top of the box too. Yeah, that didn't work out. It didn't work out. I was not paying attention. And I ended up covering the decorative paper. It's okay. And I hate that I did that because there's only one of those. There were only 2 sheets of that water paper. So, oh well, I had to let it go on the top. I used that knife just to score the paper so that I could pull it off easier. And that's got that Wonder Under on there, and we're just going to glue it down. Because I'm using that ombre paper, it doesn't really matter where I place this. There's no special design that I'm trying to catch on the paper side. I just didn't want it to be a regular sheet of paper. And I thought it's so cool to be able to use designer paper. And they do make designer papers with better quality, or you can print your own. I can print my own. I have a 12 by 12 printer. And I put the paper side down when I'm cutting this, so I don't need to mirror it. And I can use any mat I want to because it's paper, not fabric, so I don't have to use that fabric mat, which makes me very happy. And if you've never seen a Cricut machine, this is it right here. And we are going to flip this over and peel the octagon away from, actually you peel the mat away from the octagon shape so that way you don't get that curl. It looks really weird when people flip it over and pull it off, but that's how you do not get that super duper curl in your paper. And look, doesn't it look like water? But unfortunately, this got covered up. That makes me so sad. I hate that I did that. I should have ironed this just to a plain sheet of paper because when I put it on, I ended up covering it once I put the liner in. So the best way to do this is to fold all of these pieces over, but adhere them side to side first. Then glue these down. Am I doing it properly? No, because I'm me. And I'm a little out of practice with the paper crafting. So again, adhere these side to side first and then roll it down. And it'll just give you an even sturdier box. But instead, I, of course, am doing it my way. You can't see it, but there are score lines here. And so I'm just kind of moving the paper till I feel the score and it buckles right there. And then that's how I know where to crease it. And there it is. And then you go on ahead and put those side to side. Now, because you only get 2 sheets of paper, of cardstock of the same, kind of pay attention to where you're placing it so that you have a nice continuous look on the inside of your box. Because again, you only get 2 sheets each of these designer paper packs. The same thing with this top side right here. I should have put them together first and then bent that over. Here I am using some of that beacon glue. And I'm just laying down a nice layer of it, and then we're putting this in, which is covering that pretty paper. Oh well. And this is 110-pound cardstock. So this is a nice sturdy lid. Oh, isn't it pretty? And then we just put this on top and glue it down. And you do the same thing for the bottom of the box. And that is how these boxes come together. Isn't it gorgeous? Love this. I hate that I covered up those butterflies with a bow, but it's me. And the bow is like my butterfly bow. It's kind of got like a butterfly vibe to it. Also, if you're going to put a bunch of glue on like this, run a spatula over it just to smooth it out. I got lucky with mine, but I really should have been more careful with the way that I spread that glue out right there. See that spatula that's right there to the right? It's a silicone spatula and it's great for moving glue around because it doesn't stick to the spatula. You can get them off Amazon. And there you go, guys. That is pretty much the box coming together. You do the same thing with the bottom. I put some decorative paper in there to cover that up, and that's that. If you guys hung with me throughout this entire box video, I sure do appreciate it. I hope you guys learned something. I hope I am adding value to this community, and I am obsessed with these boxes, guys. These Tulip Pink boxes are it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and subscribe. All right, bye-bye.